This example is like problem 1 from the week 5 Excel assignment. We have some data collected from a clinical trial evaluating a new drug to treat plaque psoriasis. New compounds compared to the standard drug, so it's an active controlled trial. After 6 weeks, they look at the percentage here of plaque clearing. They measure that, and then the data are shown below here. We want to run the appropriate test at a 5% level of significance, and the hint is our treatment and percent of plaque clearing independent. So in other words, we want to do a chi-squared test of independence. So with a hypothesis test, as a chi-squared test is, you always have 4 steps. Step 1 is to state your null and alternative hypotheses. So our null hypothesis here is going to be that treatment and plaque clearance are independent here. And then H1, the alternative or research hypothesis, will be that they're dependent. So we see here the new drug versus the standard drug, and then percentage of plaque clearance. It was in 3 ratings, 0 to 33%, 34 to 66%, and 67% to 100. So a third of plaque clearance, 2/3, and almost complete plaque clearance. So our decision rule is the next step. So we are going to reject the null hypothesis if this sample evidence is too extreme to be due to chance at the 5% level of significance. So that's going to happen if our p-value is less than 0.05. So we're going to reject if p is less than 0.05. Go ahead and compute our test statistics. So we will use the Excel online workbook to do that. So I've opened up the Excel workbook for chi-squared tests here. There are 2 tabs here, chi-squared goodness of fit, GOF, and test of independence. We're doing the test of independence. So first you want to specify your number of rows and number of columns. If we go back to our data, we have 2 rows and 3 columns. So rows 2 and columns 3. And then notice it adjusted, row 1, row 2, column 1, 2, 3. So let's delete this data out of here. Our level of significance is already set at 5%, so we're good there. Now I'll just take this data and we will copy. And I'll go back here and paste. And we can see our test statistic is 11.716 and our p-value is 0.003. So here, our test statistic, chi-squared test statistic, that was 11.72. And then our p-value here was 0.003. So what we notice here is our p-value of 0.003. That is less than 0.05. So that means that we are going to reject H0. That means our sample evidence is too extreme to be by chance at the 5% level. And then we'll go ahead and state our conclusion. So in the context of this problem, if we're rejecting the null hypothesis, we're accepting the alternative hypothesis. So we would say that there is sufficient evidence to believe that treatment and plaque clearance are dependent. And so you'll always have those same 4 steps in a hypothesis test no matter what type of test it is. So here we can see that this new drug is indeed working. So that's probably the more casual conclusion here, is that the new drug works. If treatment and plaque clearance were independent of each other, they had no effect on each other, then the new drug would not be working. And if you would just let me know that your test statistic here was from the Excel online workbook, then I'll know how you got your results.